In 2024, moviegoers were treated to a pretty entertaining shark movie, the movie titled Under Paris. While entertaining, this French film might be one of the most unrealistic big budget shark movies we've seen in this genre for years. Now, in general, though, that didn't really matter for me, and I found the movie to be engaging and fun. Now, Under Paris tells the story of a woman named Sophia whose team was slaughtered by a shark named Lilith out in the open ocean, and Lilith is a new, very dangerous type of shark species. Soon, Lilith ends up in Paris, in the Seine River, and Sophia is faced with trying to contain or kill the dangerous shark who has pups as well. Now, to start, I want to talk about the end of the movie, which simply stated is pretty ridiculous. And if you haven't seen the film, then definitely there are spoilers ahead. The end of the movie, we watch the group try and trap Lilith and her spawn in the Paris catacombs. Now, Lilith, for some reason, is able to plow through tons of boulders and head into the Seine River where a triathlon is happening. Soon, Lilith starts butchering the swimmers. The military decides to start shooting at her. They miss, and they hit World War I artillery shells at the bottom of the river, causing more and more bombs to go off. Okay, strangely, this does have some truth to it. Just as in 2022, a French diving team actually recovered around 150 military shells from the Seine River. It's said the Seine River has all types of military artifacts in it, and sometimes people who magnet fish actually find them. Magnet fishing, it was actually outlawed in 2019 in Paris, though. Regardless of this little nugget of truth here, so many shells go off in the Seine River, it basically wrecks the infrastructure of the city, causing the entire city of Paris to flood and go underwater. Alright, this is where things went from unrealistic to really just kind of plain dumb. Where is all this water coming from? There's no walls in Paris stopping water from flowing in. The Seine River, it's, the water that's in there, that's the highest point of the water. So there's nothing actually there's no other water that would actually flood into Paris. Anyhow, so in the final scene of the movie, we see Sophia trapped on a building top with sharks swimming all around her. The conclusion here is the sharks have won. They're going to head out to the open ocean soon, kill everything, change the ocean ecosystem forever. And while that's pretty scary and admittedly intriguing, I think the writers should have ended this differently. The sharks should have escaped to the open ocean. That in of itself would have been scary enough, as whereas mentioned in the film, the sharks, they're just going to kill everything in their path, essentially dominate the ocean since they hunt in groups, and they reach maturity in just a couple months and can start having more baby sharks. Now, even with that premise, if they had done that, they could have even made a sequel and base it on the premise of Sophia and others trying to stop the sharks in the ocean. I don't know exactly how that would work, but at least it would be something. Now, coming back to the beginning of the movie opens with Sophia's team being slaughtered by Lilith out in the open ocean. Sophia heads back to Paris and begins working at a museum. It's been 3 years since the event, and Sophia is soon approached by a young woman named Micah, who tells her Lilith is in the Seine River, which is, of course, flowing through Paris. Much of this doesn't really make a ton of sense. The coast is 100 miles from Paris. Why would a shark swim that far away? I guess you could argue bull sharks swim up freshwater rivers, and sometimes they just get lost. There's been cases of whales getting lost and going up freshwater rivers too. So the movie suggests she came here to lay her eggs, but I don't really think that makes a ton of sense as well. So the movie's a little bit slow for a while as, they hunt Lilith down. They attempt to convince this egomaniac mayor of what's happening. She's completely dismissive and just doesn't care. But we're pretty soon in the movie, I would say probably about an hour in, we're treated to a pretty decent kill scene. Micah, who is incredibly annoying, thinks Lilith is not dangerous and is just lost. In the Paris catacombs, she takes her followers down there and decides to confront Lilith on camera to show Parisians Lilith is not dangerous. Well, things go about as well as you would expect in terms of confronting a hungry shark in the water. Right before this, though, Sophia and the river police, they show up, they try and get everyone out. Micah refuses, and soon, to my satisfaction, and I'm sure most of you guys listening, Lilith grabs up Micah in just one bite and swallows her. Chaos ensues, people start falling in the water, and eventually more sharks attack, and soon it's just a bloodbath. Now, the carnage can't really be understated, and with that many deaths, for some reason, the mayor still goes forward with the triathlon. Don't know how that would exactly work. This is a huge plot hole in the movie. However, how are we supposed to believe that Parisians wouldn't find out about this and ultimately they would have to cancel the triathlon? I mean, at least work something believable in. Say something like, all right, we're going to dump a bunch of chlorine or a bunch of chemicals and it's going to kill all the sharks. And then maybe after, doing that, of course, Lilith and the others, since they're a new species, the chemicals don't affect them. Just have something else than this. So, they try and explain it away, and they try and say that the people aren't. I guess that's what kind of happens. They sort of skip over that part. But with so many plot holes and as unrealistic as the movie was, the question really is, does it matter? I don't think so. The shark movie subgenre, it's really about entertainment, and that's why movies like The Meg, Deep Blue Sea, they're so much fun to watch. They're just like a guilty pleasure. Some movies like The Shallows, they're good too, and are a little bit more realistic for the genre. Actually, The Shallows was a lot more realistic than these. I think for this genre, what really determines how good the movie's going to be, of course, the acting is going to be important, but the CGI and special effects are very important in these types of movies. They can make or break it. And for Under Paris, I think they were above average. They had a good budget for this movie. And if you don't believe the importance of CGI and special effects, just go over onto Amazon or Hulu and watch one of these B-rated horror movies with sharks, and you'll see just how bad the CGI is. It pretty much, a lot of times can kill the movie. In sum, this is a highly entertaining movie, and if you don't mind reading subtitles, I definitely suggest watching it.